I started off at Red Rock and Eloy. And Red Rock, it gets so tricky because something can be going on between a Mexican and, let's say, a brother from, let's just say he a Crip. So he in the Crip car. Now the Crips getting whatever they got going on with the Mexicans, they not telling nobody else. So I would like being an out of town car. So they not telling nobody else. So you could be walking the yard and just be looking like, damn, it just feel like it's some tension out here. Why is that? Because somebody in this car and got into it with a Mexican and they ain't tell nobody. So you got to really be careful. And the thing is that I was on 3 yards at Red Rock and at Winchester and Tucson. So you there with lifers, and it's people there, who got natural life or who got 160 years, who's never coming home or who's still fighting to come home.
Fam, what's going on, man? It's your boy E.I. the King, and this is the Incarceration Podcast. Today, I'm interviewing my dog Joe, who just came home 2 weeks ago from the Arizona Department of Correction. He did some prison time. He got a very powerful story, man. So before we go ahead and get into it, man, y'all do me a favor. Like this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and just go ahead and check out Joe's interview as he's sharing his stories from Arizona Department of Corrections prisons. Joe, what's going on, man? First of all, honored to have you on the Incarceration Podcast. I know you did prison time out in the state of Arizona, so let's go ahead and jump into your story, man. First of all, introduce yourself to the viewer and go ahead and just share how about like your upbringing, your childhood, what led you to a lifestyle of crime, eventually what charges you end up catching, what led you to prison, and go ahead and start off your story, dog.
Hey, man, first and foremost, man, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. So my name Joe Woods, pro per. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. What started off my life of crime, it was really just the environment that I was in. Being from Cleveland, Ohio, it's riddled with crime, with gangs, with drugs. It's not too much opportunity there, so it's just quite natural that a person gets involved into the underground. Where I'm from, it's either you rap or you play sports or you sell drugs.
Okay, no, that's facts, bro. All right, so what eventually happened with your case out in Arizona? What were you fighting? What did you get sentenced to? Go ahead, take us into the details of all that, bro.
Man, so it's crazy. Originally, I came to Arizona. I had got out of prison in Ohio, came to Arizona just to re-up. So me and a few different of my partners came out here and in hopes of buying some drugs from a Mexican. And from that, I ended up catching a drug trafficking case. So I ended up doing 6 months in the county jail out here and got put on probation. And due to my probation, I couldn't leave. So ultimately, I was stuck here. And, during that time, I really didn't know too many people in Arizona. I really didn't have too much of a support system in Arizona. And so I went to what I knew best. I started selling drugs. And out in Arizona, man, it was so easy to get enthralled in that lifestyle because, when you from out of town and you come to Arizona, you realize this where all the plugs is at. You come out here, you get everything for the low, So I started selling drugs out here, and that is what snowballed me into getting to meet people as I'm selling drugs. Now everyone that I'm meeting, everyone that I'm networking with is a part of some type of illegal industry. You know what I mean? So from there, I was on probation, and I ended up catching a case of aggravated assault on an officer, being my probation officer. The allegation was that I assaulted my probation officer as well as his supervisor. I was in a county jail. I actually bonded out for that.
Hold on. They said that you took off on your PO and the PO supervisor. That's what they said allegedly.
Man, so what they said happened was that they searched my car, and there was a pistol in my baby mother's purse. So they came back in the building and searched me. They said they found a pistol, $10,000, and a bag of a powder substance that they didn't know what it was. But in actuality, it was really just mannitol. It was just a sugar substitute. It was just cut. Uh, but when they searched my person, they found $10,000 and a small amount of powder substance, which I don't even know what it was, to be honest with you. And when they put it on the table, I knew that it was a possibility that it could have been something, and so I blew it. And when I blew it, it supposedly got into the probation officers' faces, and they went to the hospital saying that they thought they was having fentanyl symptoms. So
that's
where the assault came
crazy, bro. That's crazy. Dang.
Yeah.
All right, so keep going with your story. What happened after that? Going to the county prison. Keep going.
I'm in the county, and I got a public defender, but he pro bono, so he's not really a public defender. He a private attorney, but he takes contracts for the public defender's office. So I got him for free, and I got him for a few months. He talking a real good game, man. We gonna be able to get you out of this. It's a weak case, this and that. But then when we get down to about a week away from trial, I'm looking at the paperwork and I'm like, hold on, you don't got no witnesses on your witness list. So he said, well, it's the state's responsibility to prove the case. You don't have to do nothing. We don't have to put on the case. And if you think that there's a witness that has a relevant statement, then let me know. So when he said that, I knew off the rip, yeah, this ain't gonna work, because if you don't already know the relevance of the witnesses that's in the police reports, then you must not really care, So it was at that point that I decided, I'm gonna represent myself, because obviously this attorney got too many other priorities in his life. And I don't know this man. I just met this man. So yeah, I don't expect to be a priority in his life, even though, but that's why I had to go pro per, because I couldn't put my life in the hands of a man that I didn't know. I couldn't put my life in the hands of a man who had a family, a career, a reputation, before that he's gonna put before he puts my life. So I decided I was gonna represent myself. I went to court, and I didn't even tell nobody. I just went to court one day right before trial and determined I want to represent myself, Judge. She had all these things to say. Oh man, the prosecutors. You have two prosecutors on your case. One of them is a bureau chief. He's the supervisor prosecutor. So they've been doing this for a while, and they're great prosecutors. Are you sure that you want to do this? And she asked me why. I told her, because I can't put my life. I'm not putting my life in another man's hands. And I think that I'm competent. I think I'm intelligent enough. I don't think that y'all is smarter than me, or can even really maneuver me. I really think I'm smarter than y'all, actually. So at that point, I went pro per. I went to trial on that, representing myself, and I was acquitted on the aggravated assault. So the jury agreed with me, that it was a stupid case anyway. As you saw, it was kind of funny. But after that, I get back to the jail. I'm thinking I'm about to get released. And then they come on the intercom and say, Woods, man, you got a page 2. You got another charge that came in. So the same two prosecutors that I had just beat turned around and charged me with a gun case, the gun that was in my baby mother's purse at the time. They said that they sent it to the lab. My DNA was on it. Therefore, that was probable cause to charge me. So, of course, I was already feeling kind of cocky, a little bit. I was already confident, more so than cocky, but I decided, I'm going to represent myself again. And I did that. And I was acquitted. The jury deliberated for like all of maybe an hour, and I was acquitted of that as well. And so, now, remind you, I have friends that work in the public defender's office. So after the first case that I beat, a couple of my friends came and told me, like, yeah, the prosecutors is talking stuff about you, man. They saying that you won on a fluke on one trial, and then Now they about to hit you for this gun case. They about to try to get the max 15 years and your DNA on it. There's no way you can beat this one. And so they was embarrassed when they turned around after talking all that rah-rah, how they turned around and lost to a pro-per inmate. So they charged me with a first-degree murder. At this point, I knew I was going to be sitting in the county for a minute. And so I decided that I was just going to revoke my probation so that when I got out of jail, after beating this case, if I ever got out, because now I'm looking at a first-degree murder case. Arizona got natural life first degree. There's no discretion that the judge can give. You get convicted of first degree murder, it's natural life. Dying in prison. They didn't come. I didn't have no plea deals on the table. So if I was gonna plead to anything, it was gonna be first degree murder. So, I'm not gonna plead to a natural life, and I'm not gonna plead to something that I didn't do. So, I ended up taking that case on by myself, same prosecutors, and I spent a year, pre-trial litigating that case, and then went to trial and spanked their ass again. So after that, it was kind of bittersweet because I just was victorious 3 times in these 2 years in trials representing myself. And then turn around and still have to be sent to DOC after. So, because I revoked my probation, so I still had to go to DOC and do a year. So, I get to DOC, and it was at that point, when I got back from the murder trial, before even going to DOC, I'm talking about the whole jail was just so elated. Man, you won, you beat them. We ain't never seen that before. Man, we need to make a movie out of this. We need to, you need to write a book about this. And, to me, it was just, man, my life was on the line. I ain't had no choice. But in actuality, I realized how much motivation people needed that was just given to them. A lot of people be ready to give up in their case. When you ask people, you be like, man, a lot of people tell you straight up, man, you can't beat these people. Don't even play with these people. They give you a plea, take it. Don't even play with them. And I just wanted, and now I feel like I showed people that, no, you can put up a fight. It ain't gonna be easy. You know what I'm saying? But if it's easy, it ain't a fight.
That's real.
And the biggest thing is I learned how to take control over my life. I learned how to say, man, if I know ain't nobody gonna stay up. I was in my cell on the 4th floor in the county jail, up sometimes 3 days straight, going over, because they sending me big packets of paperwork. I'm talking 5,000-6,000 pages at a time, going over paperwork with little golf colored pencils, trying to highlight stuff with little golf pencils. I'm getting caught with pens in my cell trying to write motions. And wouldn't nobody gonna put everything on the back burner for my life except for me. And I would never, ever forgive myself if I end up spending the rest of my life in prison because someone else made a mistake in my defense, or because of a decision that I didn't make or that I didn't even think was best. At least if I took on all the risk and I represented myself, if I was walking on the yard for the rest of my life because I lost, because I overlooked something in my case, or because I didn't make an objection when I was supposed to, then I could live with that. I can't be mad at nobody but myself at that point.
That's real, bro. Hey, so before we transition to like what you're doing now and everything you're doing since you've been out, go ahead and take us through the stories. Number one, what yards did you hit in Arizona DOC? And go ahead and just like paint the picture of how was your prison experience in the Arizona Department of Corrections. What are some of the crazy stories you've seen? What was the politics like, especially in comparison to the politics in Ohio? You know what I mean? Go ahead and break down the prison experiences.
Man, it was a lot different because coming from prison time in Ohio, especially I was a little younger back in Ohio too, so but it's not, the politics isn't racial. Here in Arizona, everything is racially segregated. It's like it's back in the 60s and even before then. So, and the thing about like being black in a racially political prison system of Arizona is that every other race kind of moves a little bit more militant. They got a little bit more structure versus the blacks kind of, you just fend for yourself kind of, you just, it's really no structure. Like with the white boys, you can't, when the door is unlocked, when that door pop to the pod, ain't no laying in bed. Ain't no shoes off. Shoes on, boots on, everybody up. Go outside, everybody working out. You got to at least check in, be outside for an hour. Mexicans, same thing. With the brothers, we just kind of just do whatever we want to do, really. So, but is the downside of that is that I done been on, like, I started off at Red Rock and Eloy. And Red Rock, it gets so tricky because something can be going on between a Mexican and, let's say, a brother from, let's just say he a Crip. So he in the Crip car. Now the Crips getting whatever they got going on with the Mexicans, they not telling nobody else. So I would like being in an out of town car. So they not telling nobody else. So you could be walking the yard and just be looking like, damn, it just feel like it's some tension out here. Why is that? Because somebody in this car done got into it with a Mexican and they ain't tell nobody. So you got to really be careful. And the thing is that, I was on 3 yards at Red Rock and at Winchester and Tucson. So you there with lifers and it's people there, who got natural life or who got 160 years, who's never coming home or who's still fighting to come home. That was a huge eye opener to be on the yard sleeping right next to a man who ain't never going home. It make you, appreciate, even when you got time to do, you still kind of appreciate, like, at least I got a date, I've got another chance out here. Because it's some people that they get you and they throw the key away. So, I was just telling, I forgot who I was talking to. I said, man, I done seen people go to prison or they go to the county jail, go from being dope sick in the county jail, defecating themselves, sweating, crying. Grown men, I seen them crying, dope sick. Get over that. Win that struggle. To turn around, get to prison, and get strung out all over again. Even worse. Off of a cheaper drug. You know what I'm saying? So, man, Arizona prison is tricky. It's really tricky, especially when you're not from here.
That's real. Hey, before we transition out about everything you're doing now, if you could remember or recall or recount one prison memory, like crazy, violent, good, whatever comes to mind, just go ahead and paint a picture of one prison story from the Arizona DOC that you remember.
Man, one crazy prison story. Man, it's so many of them. So I say, man, my very, very first time being incarcerated out here, I didn't know nothing that was going on. So when I get into the pod, I don't know that it's politics. So I get into the pod and I'm coming straight from Ohio, to where it's like as soon as you get when you going in Ohio, you gotta fight. You know what I'm saying? You gotta protect you and yourself. So I get into I get into the pod and some blacks come to me. A young dude, like 2 young dudes and an older dude. They walk up on me and they go to grab my mattress from me. They like, "What's up?" and go to grab my mattress. And I just drop everything. Drop mattress, drop bedroll. Y'all ain't taking nothing. Bow, get the punching them. Bow, bow, bow. So I'm thinking they trying to take my mattress from me. Then the old dude, he grabbed me. He like, "Hey, Hey, youngster, calm down, chill out, man. It's he just trying to help you make your bed. Hey, make my bed. So now I'm thinking that they playing mind games with me now. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, nigga try to come here and just take my mattress. Then when I lump him up, you grab me, talking about you trying to help me make my bed. You, like I'm some type of woman or something. Like you my woman, like you gonna make my bed for me. And and I got there, I was really tripping. I didn't know nothing. That was probably the funniest. We still laugh to that about that to this day.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It just goes to show you too, man, how the chain gang, even though it's universal, it can be very similar throughout the nation. The politics and just the ins and outs of doing time can be very different in every state. All right, so go ahead and transition us into, your release. What are you doing now? First of all, bro, this salute to you, man, and praise God for just being home and for killing it and doing great, bro, for winning all those cases, man. So go ahead, just share the story about your transition home. What are you doing now? And you can even just close out when not only plugging yourself in, whether it be social media, YouTube, Instagram, whatever you got going on, but also to close out with just an encouraging message for anybody who may be fighting their case right now, or for a family member who got a loved one who's fighting their case and they're in prison, you know what I mean? And just you sharing your story of overcoming, you know what I mean, representing yourself in the court of law and winning,
Yeah. So, I transitioning into getting out. I just got out 2 weeks ago. So, I'm still fresh out. But I'm hitting the ground running. It's really kind of been, it's kind of crazy. It's almost unbelievable. I really drop a tear some mornings still. And I started dropping tears every morning almost maybe 2 weeks before I got released because, it was almost unbelievable. There was times that I would come back from a day at trial and I would sit in my rack and I would sit and I would think like, damn, today was not a good day at trial. They about to convict me. I'm about to spend the rest of my life in prison. And so to now turn around and to wake up, when I want to, eat what I want to be back out here able to pursue my goals again, it's truly a blessing. It's truly a blessing. And so, now what I'm doing is I'm using my experiences to try to help others, especially people who, it's a new, I feel like it's a new movement. People are starting to become more hip to the law. People are starting to take their destiny into their own hands, and what I can do is be what I wish I had for a person when they're going through a legal battle, which was I wish that I had someone who had been there to give me some game. I had to learn right there on the fly. So what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to educate the masses on the law, making sure that everybody know what their rights are, that everybody knows that that they can represent themselves, and if they do choose to represent themselves, that they have support. And you know, and that's what we're doing. We are raising up the legal IQ of the people, raising litigational awareness.
That's real. Are you representing people, or are you more like a consultant, like walking alongside people who are fighting their case?
Yeah, so what I do is I just consult. I paralegal for some attorneys. I don't represent nobody in court. What I do is when people represent themselves, I just I help them along the way and show them everything that I went through, because it's gonna be a fight and what's gonna come, how to prepare for what's coming, and how to be organized and to execute. And
That's
then
real, bro.
so if anybody want to reach out to me, I'm on all social medias. I'm on Instagram at _ the proper _ the proper PROPER. It's the same everywhere. And that's what we own. We just trying to raise legal awareness for the people. Know your rights.
That's real, Brody. Again, man, first of all, man, welcome home. My dog said he's 2 weeks fresh out. Hey, praise God, bro. First of all, man, welcome home.
Sir.
And again, bro, I just love, this is the first time I've ever heard, especially on this channel, the Incarceration Podcast, any convicts who represented themselves, but above all, not just representing themselves, you know what I mean, but winning 3 times, you know what I mean? So that's fire, bro. Shout out to you for that, bro. Shout out to you for staying out the way, making it home, and most importantly, bro, of sharing your stories, your experiences of not just, you know, overcoming the system, but making it out and being intentional about empowering people who are going through the same thing that we went through. So again, bro, shout out to you, man. Prayers to you and for your family, dog. And again, bro, go ahead and plug yourself in one more time if everybody wants to continue to hear a story. If you're fighting a case, if your loved one's fighting your case, man, and you need a consultant, somebody who's been there, done that. I always encourage people, man, like the biggest people who I want to see winning, and most importantly, it makes sense winning because we have lived experiences, are fellow convicts. You know what I mean? Bro's been through that. You know what I mean? So go ahead and plug yourself in one more time for the viewers who are watching. Go ahead and spell it out too, G.
Man, it's underscore the pro per underscore THEPRO PROPER.
Nah, yes, sir. You good, dog. Yes.
Man, that word of encouragement. I just want, you know, everybody to know, man, that no matter what you're going through in life, you know, some people would say that what I went through, being charged with a murder I didn't commit, having to fight that, watching my family see me fight that, my family fighting it with me, that was, you know, a down time in my life. Some people will look at it sort of kind of like a curse, but during the darkest, lowest, worst times in your life is when you find out the most about yourself. You know, I would have never knew how much I could help the world with the law until I had to do it myself. You know, I never would have known a lot about myself. You know, I would have never really known how intelligent I really was, how much I could really read. I didn't know I was that good of a reader, you know, and could comprehend that well. So whatever you're going through, you will be a lot better off if you could just find how you benefit from it. Because you do somewhere in there.
That's real, bro. Hey, once again, Brody, man, I appreciate you for sharing your story, man. Shout out to you. Praying for you, dog. Keep killing it. Man, it's an honor to have you on the Incarceration Podcast again, man. Y'all go ahead and tap in with bro. And till next time. All right, my G?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. All day. Thank you, bro. All right, fam, this your boy E.I. the King, and this is the Incarceration Podcast. Fam, y'all do me a favor, go ahead and hit that hype button, bro, just for Joe and him beating the state attorney, him beating his case 3 times in trial, representing himself, and most importantly, him coming home doing good and wanting to give back to convicts who are fighting their case and making sure that they have the proper right legal representation. So y'all go ahead and hit him up on his Instagram, follow him, tap in with him. So look, fam, this your boy E.I. the King, and this is the Incarceration Podcast. And family, look, I got a fire HBO style series on the full episode playlist. It's a chronological journey of my 12 years in prison. It's called The Incarceration. Season 1 has been out, but season 2 is just now coming out. But to access it, you have to become an all access member to this channel. And this is a preview clip of season 2 right here. Boom, boom, boom. All you hear in the cells when people are fighting is just lockers moving, bunks getting hit. You hear the fists, you know what I mean, hitting faces or being blocked, and people wrestling and people getting slammed. And it just sounds like a freaking war going on in a cell because it's such a small, confined space. And you just hear it time and time again. Not just that first day in the dungeon, but every day, all day. About 102 people, I believe, in K3 in the dungeon. I would say probably about 90 people gangbang is affiliated. Everybody in a different set, and all day, every day, fighting nonstop. And a lot of times it's not one-on-one. It's a lot of people getting jumped, a lot of 2-on-2s or 3s-on-5s, all day, every day. No exaggeration. When the police see the fighting, majority of the time, they won't even break it up, won't even look, won't even lock down the dorm, just put a blind eye to it and keep on going. Non-stop chaos, all day, every day, no exaggeration. Nothing but yelling, fighting, and occasionally stabbings. One thing I began to realize as well at JIT camp is that people had knives for sure, but they call them fence pokers. Little wire that people unravel off the fence posts, they sharpen it up on the floor, and it becomes a knife. But they're small and they're really skinny. And also, if you didn't know, man, I am a rapper. My artist name is EI the King. You can find my music wherever you listen to your music at. Go to my artist YouTube channel, EI the King, to check out my music videos. Follow me on Instagram, EI the King, TikTok, EI the King Official, and family. I got 3 other YouTube channels. My official artist channel, EI the King. Go check out my music videos. Real Crime Stories Unlocked, and my newest channel, Low Budget Traveling, where I'm sharing with you, all fellow convicts and everyday average Americans, that it is possible for you and I to travel abroad internationally on a low budget. All the links are going to be at the end of this video. Go ahead and click those links. It's going to take you to my new channels. Subscribe, follow, check out the content. It's fire. And family, we're on the journey to 100,000 subs. Right now we're at 60K. I appreciate all the day one viewers and day one subscribers. If you have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and do so now. Y'all do me a favor, go ahead and like this video. And for all the convicts watching, if you done time in a county jail, state prison, federal prison, you want to share your incarcerated experiences, email me at eithekingbooking@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram at eitheking_. As I interview you, I'll post your interview up on this channel. If you got a YouTube channel, social media, whatever you want to promote, I like to promote it throughout the interview. Y'all go ahead and stay tapped in for more fire content to continue to come your way. It's your boy EI the King, and I'm out. Peace.